Just a couple of days ago, a little over a week ago, actually, at this point, a truck driver in Florida named Harjinder Singh allegedly, and the reason I say allegedly is because he is currently being accused of the crime, made an illegal U-turn and chose to not obey a sign that said no U-turn, emergency vehicles only. Unfortunately, this led to an intersecting run under where a minivan intersected and ran under the trailer, killing three people almost instantly, with one going to the hospital and dying there. Unfortunately, there were many failures in the system. And I do not want to focus on the failure of whether or not the person was legally entitled to a CDL based on their immigration status, because that's not something I'm versed well enough in because I don't pay enough attention to how CDLs work. I know that immigration status is something that's very interesting and very, very hotly debated in the United States of America right now. And while I do agree that immigrants should have the right to have the ability to claim asylum, to come into the United States legally, I do believe that there should be no way for immigrants to be able to receive the ability to have a job that they are not legally qualified for in any way. And I believe the same of citizens. So, I want to talk about this in terms of language proficiency and the English language. Should someone who is a truck driver be able to drive on the road if they can prove they can handle the big rig, but can't prove that they can speak English well enough to communicate with a law enforcement officer or read the road signs? And that's something that I did not think would be very hotly debated, but unfortunately is. And it is something that I believe we need to have a very important discussion
Joining
about.
me for this video. Remember, if you like the video, like the video. Don't forget to subscribe, comment, share, and ring that bell if you want to get notified every time a new video goes live. I publish multiple videos a
So I
day.
have here six highway signs that are all either in English or something that a person who speaks English would be able to recognize, and I'm now going to go through them from the top left all the way to the right, and then the bottom left all the way to the right, and see how many of them I recognize. Well, I'm going to recognize all of them, but see how many of them would be an extremely difficult thing if you didn't understand those. So the first one says steep grade slash hill. It tells you that the road will go downhill steeply soon. Very important for you to be able to understand that because gravity will make your truck go faster. Second one, narrow bridge ahead. Your truck might not fit on the bridge. The third one on the top is right lane ends. And you can tell that because the lane on the left in the parallelogram is continuing, and the dotted line and the right lane ends, indicating you can merge, and it used to be two lanes. The third line in the parallelogram with the triangle with the red and white is obviously a yield sign. The fourth one, which we would know is actually an octagon and not a parallelogram, is a stop ahead sign, which means stop or stop, get ready, slow down and get ready to stop. This one's not actually a stop sign. Then the fourth one, or first one, second one, is double side roads. That's one that you don't always see. Side road at perpendicular angle. Crossroads. Those are all eight of them. You need to be able to identify all eight of those signs if you are a truck driver, and you probably should be able to identify the majority of those signs and understand the meaning behind them if you are on the road in the United States of America. Do I believe that English language proficiency should be a condition for a regular driver's license? That is a question I can't currently answer because I do believe that you should be able to communicate well enough if you have an accident, well enough if you have to speak to law enforcement, well enough to understand the words that are on the signs and the signs that are there, because there are other road signs besides those. And if you spend time reading a billboard and you're distracted by it, unfortunately, what can happen is you can get into a motor vehicle accident that does have the chance to become fatal. And none of us want that to happen. Now, I do wholeheartedly believe that truck drivers need to be able to speak, read, and understand English so that they can be on our roads and they can be safe. Because I believe that having the ability to read and understand signs and read and understand the communication with law enforcement that's always done in English, as a commercial driver, you should be speaking the language that the language is the language of the majority. Now, we do not have an official language in the United States of America, nor do I think we ever will. But if we were to, and it were based on the amount of languages people speak, it would be English, and then most likely probably either Arabic or Mandarin Chinese as a second language, like how Canada has American and or has English and French, and they have American people who come up there and speak English but don't speak French. So it's harder for them, but it's not quite as hard because in Quebec everything's in English and French, no matter what. But there's also some times where there's things in English and French throughout the rest of Canada because Canada requires communication to be in both of their official languages if it's written. And if I were to go to Canada, I would try to learn French or go to areas only where English is the predominant language. I also wouldn't try to get a truck driving job in Canada if I were a truck driver because that would mean I would be dangerous if the signs are primarily in French or if I have to go and look and see which signs are in English, because that's telling me I have to take extra time on the road while I'm scanning, and I'm trying to scan every couple of seconds to see what's going on. I need to be able to get that information quickly. And if you're struggling with the literacy portion of that, you're going to be a dangerous driver.
Thank you for taking a moment to watch this video today. You can follow me at my other socials. You're going to follow me on TikTok at Sammy5436. You can follow me on Instagram at Sammy5436. Or at Samantha P54361. You can follow me on Patreon or other paid platforms at Sammy5436, including Ko-Fi and one where that's a little bit less safe for work. Patreon members will get Mariners recaps approximately 12 hours before others, as well as access to some YouTube videos earlier than here. I'm generally going to try to make one YouTube video a week available early by a week on Patreon. I haven't decided what, and that will start next week. You can support me on Patreon for $1 a month. Coffee is also $1 a month. My other platform is $6.99 a month. And you can also follow me on most other platforms at Sammy5436. You can also email me at SamanthaPond54361 at Outlook.com. Thank you.